my name is Don Freas. This piece is from about 20 years ago, and it's called Understructure for some reason, abstract piece. It was part of a set of about 5 pieces where I was experimenting with the idea of working with scraps with no idea of what I was going to end up with. And so this one, I had a series of these mahogany scraps, and I just was thinking about different ways to join them together and then to shape them into a form. And then I had the form, and it was, okay, now what do I do with that? Luckily, the local gallery was about to have a show and asked if I had any new work. And so I put together 4 or 5 pieces in that same form, abstract, derivative, as in I didn't know what they were going to look like till they were all done, or even whether they would even be interesting, until I showed them, and they had a good response from the community, so I made more.
Do you want to share anything about your background with woodworking, or how you are able to make such fine woodworking?
I dropped out of college after my junior year in 1974, and because I wanted to, I needed to do something. I was tired of working with the theoretical and possible futures, and I opened a woodworking shop about a block from here over on Capitol Way called Leaper Woodwork, and started offering services making furniture for people. And so I did that for many years. So I have furniture all over town, and offices and people's homes, and cabinets and kitchen cabinets. But I also, I always had an interest in sculpture, and there was a period right after my wife and I had children, we decided to go to New Zealand for a year. And I left a friend of mine running the shop, and they were taking care of the house. And down there, I found work in a little college of fine woodworking. I was trading shop time. I could use their shop if I taught some classes. And one day I was making a chair, and I said, wait a minute, I'm on sabbatical. I should do something else. And I took the chair apart and made it into a sculpture. And that, I put it in a show of woodworkers down there in Christchurch, New Zealand. And it won an honorable mention, my first sculpture. And so ever since, I've been making sculpture in between my furniture commissions.
Cool, thanks for sharing that. I'm curious what happens for you, or what happens for the viewer when art and history are paired side by side like this.
I'm not sure there's any difference between art and history. There's a way that if you look through, I have a book about my sculpture, it's called In Between, and if you, even in writing the book, I realized this is the tracks I've left. This is the history of me, and me is partly this town. Because when I first got here, I was the only woodworking shop in town, and the town has changed so much. There's a lot of great woodworkers here now, and so the history. If you think back at what do we look for when we're looking at history, it's people's expressions, and that's what art is. So it feels like a natural pairing that you rarely see. So I think this is a really unique facility for putting the two where they've always belonged, but have rarely been set.
Thanks. Why should people come to the Olympia AHA Museum?
Oh, there's always, as I say, I've lived in this town for 54 years now, since I was 20 years old. And I've been through the museum, and there's things I learn about this town every time I walk through here. Because there's always other people are expressing too. And so we get a lot of there's a lot of great details to the surface. And it always makes me interested in, like for example, I have a great interest in Squaxin Park and the trees there. And so I'm always looking for the people I can talk to about, well, so like when was it logged and who owned it and when did it become city property? And this is a place where you can either find the information or find people who know. So I find it very useful.
Cool. Do you have any hopes for this museum? What should come here?
I didn't quite catch that.
Oh, do you have hopes for this museum? What should we have next at the museum?
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'd love to see a series of exhibits coming through, and more space would be great. The Old State Capitol Museum was a really enjoyable thing, although it was a lot of really old stuff. And this museum, I think, has the opportunity to show the history, the old things, but also what has happened since. And so I think we can just keep things rotating.
Totally.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about what's coming next for you? Do you have any work you're playing with right now, or expressing now? That's your language.
Yeah, most of my work now is I have a couple of acres out waterfront by Squaxin Park, and so most of my work is going into developing the land and taking care of it. There's an old orchard, it's an old homestead, it's 50 tree orchard, old trees. So there's a lot of work taking care of that and cleaning the place up from some years of abuse, and then playing with the grandkids. And so I'm basically retired from any furniture making, and here and there an idea for a sculpture comes, but mostly it's being an old guy working on the land.
That's good work. I have to ask if you see the trees differently as a woodworker, like when you're pruning, or I don't know.
Well, I've always loved trees, and not just for their wood, but I do appreciate the differences in the wood. And on the property, when a tree dies, if it's a good hardwood tree, I have it made into lumber. I also have a particular interest in Pacific yew trees, and have found 90 of them in Squaxin Park. And they're ancient trees. They rode the continents from Pangea when there was just one continent on the earth, and it split up. The trees were already there. They were here with the dinosaurs. And they're, well, they say morphologically unchanged in 120 million years. And they look like it. They look like ancient trees when you see one. But they also kind of hide because they've been abused over the years. They make great bows. And so in Europe, millions of them were killed to make bows. And also a cancer drug was started to be made from the bark of Pacific Northwest yew trees. And it's still being made, and it is useful, but it killed a lot of trees just in the period when they were testing the drug to make sure it worked for people. So they had to come up with a way to farm trees so that they could make enough for the drug. Anyway, I've become fascinated with that particular tree. It happens that one of the reasons it's a famous tree in cultures all over the world is that it is very useful. The trees grow very slowly, so the wood is really hard. And it's been used by cultures all over the world for implements and weapons, and that sort of thing. So that's been a fun avocation of mine.
Thanks for sharing that. I've just learned a lot. Unless there's anything else you want to comment on, I think we can just wrap it up.
Okay, that'd be enough for me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.